Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Reality Kingdom, where we talk all things reality TV or whatever. Period. Uh, I'm your host, Pharaoh. We are here with our wonderful, wonderful co-host, Lee. Girl, what's
I'm
up?
doing terrible because
Bad.
James was robbed. We said
Oh,
it. We said what
and
we
you're mad
said.
about it.
And you're gonna have to be mad about it. You're gonna have to be mad about it.
I'm so sorry. Like, honestly, truly, horrible episode. Terrible episode. I'm
I
gonna
wasn't
start it off.
gagged at all.
I'm gonna start it off, and I'm gonna say it real quick, and then I'm gonna try to I'm, I'm probably gonna say it all podcast. Um, Owen is giving the Owen's edit. Awful
Mm-hmm.
episode. Owen's edit is definitely screaming. I
Winner
won,
edit. Yeah.
and
Yeah, because
I don't like it.
and we just have to reiterate, like Owen, he keeps having these moments where he's in the limelight, but not actually not actually doing anything. So this episode, and we're gonna get into it, it's like, the person who ends up going home, I feel like it's all built up as, oh, this is Owen's rivalry with James, and he kind of did this move. But when you really get into the strategy behind it, he didn't do anything but throw a hissy fit and then vote how Noel wanted him to.
And that's
So, but the way it's edited, like even at the end when James goes and this little eye raises with the music, like, ooh, he won the battle. Bitch, they wasn't beefing. This was very one sided. James did not know he was in beef
and did not care. And I feel like it's interesting because usually when they are pretending that someone is running the tribe or whatever, they can edit it in a way that it actually looks like they're the one who got the person out. They couldn't even do that. It was straight up Noel. The edit even like they had to like kind of edit it as in, oh, it's a building beef from last episode and the episode before. And it's like in reality, it was not. And then also in reality, y'all couldn't even pretend this was kind of Owen's move. Y'all showed Noel doing shit and Sammy doing shit, and we saw Owen do nothing with the vote. So, they said he didn't even vote. They said he didn't even vote.
I don't know. I just feel like it was really weird. We're gonna get into it, but like, and then I was scrolling through Twitter. I had to get on Twitter because like I'm not even though like necessarily like James stand for. I think he was playing well. I think he got screwed because they put him on 5 and 5. Let's be real. This is not a huge shot at his gameplay because if they were all voting, it would be a different story. But it's just like I don't understand how people saw this edit and immediately was like anti-James. James is the issue. James has to go. Like he was definitely attacked. No shade. This episode for no fucking reason.
None. Child. So let's get into the shit. So we start off and we're coming back from Tribal. If you recall, last Tribal, Janine was voted out. And allegedly everyone knew about it except Owen. Allegedly. So when we come back from Tribal, we get a Sammy diary room. And Sammy was like, Janine going isn't what I wanted to happen. I just had to go with the plan. I didn't have the numbers.
Oh, wait, child.
Yes, girl.
I see a comment. Sappy Panda.
Oh, child.
I'm sorry I had to cut you off, but this is nasty. After 10 tribal councils, white men have received 1 vote all season. Like, I'm not saying it's some type of plan, but it's crazy how we had all like diversity on top of diversity, and now all the women out. They get all the blacks out, child. Ryan and James were home this episode, child. It's nasty. They said we're getting a white winner.
It's very light.
Someone said we're getting a white winner. This is
So Sammy says he wants to start picking off the big dogs, or whatever. Then we see Owen running around camp playing badly. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And it's not. I'm not trying to shade Owen like as a human, but when it comes to the game, he was playing badly. He's running around camp. Sammy and Gabler, can I talk to y'all now? Sammy and Gabler, please, please. So then they go and they talk, and he's like, well, I just feel like, they didn't tell me about the vote, what was going on. And Sammy is explaining to him, like, the tea. And it's like he didn't even really want to talk to them, and you just told everybody in the tribe you wanted to talk to them, but he didn't really say anything. And we see the diary room of Owen saying that James lied straight to his face. He says that last episode, 15 minutes before the tribal council, James told him at the water well, no, Owen asked, is the vote still Janine? James said, oh, is the vote Janine or is it something else? And James was like, no, it's the normal vote. It's not Janine. And Owen is saying that he lied straight to his face. But my thing is, you asked him a question and he's playing Survivor. What you want him
Like,
to say?
and that's the thing too. And like, and on Owen perspective, like I can understand why in that moment he would feel like I can't trust James or James clearly isn't working with me. But the way he reacted is just so out of left field, in my opinion. And it's just like I feel like if I don't know, I just feel like in certain situations, like if another person had reacted in this way, it wouldn't be yeah, James needs to go. Owen is eating it up, but it's like this was a huge emotional reaction in a strategic game. Like this was not smart at all. Like even though James went home this episode, and they definitely set it up, like I said, to make it like Owen did it. It wasn't because of this at all. Like at all.
Child. So, Owen says that he's pissed at James. He has a diary room. He says it's time to get James out of this game. I'm not having it. James thinks he's the godfather. James thinks he's the king. And this is what I'll address right now. The narrative being pushed and the narrative that a lot of the fans are eating up is that James has a huge ego and he's being very, very cocky. Honestly, I'm not like everyone has biases, so I'm not sure if it's because I have a preference for James, but what I've seen, it doesn't seem like James's ego is huge at all. He's been the vote for the last 3 rounds.
Literally.
He's been crawling to try to stay in the game for the entire jury.
Successfully at that. And like I said, he was definitely twist screwed because if it did not divide into tribes, I don't think he would have went home.
Yeah.
And so it's just really weird. I felt like that's why it really seems like Owen is going to be the winner, because it seems like this has to be that big moment for Owen. Owen took out his biggest rival, the big bad dog, the person who's so egotistical and think he's the godfather. Like, I don't see that at all. You want to see that? Go watch Tony anytime he played. Go watch Boston Rob anytime he played. I don't think James gave that at all. James was chilling. James has been chilling. And had his name said, like, that's the thing. It's like, how did he become the enemy so quickly this episode when literally every single episode prior to his name got brought up to go home?
Literally. So, that's how Owen is feeling. Then James has a diary room, and he says, he tried to talk to Owen, or James tries to talk to Owen first. And when he says, hey, Owen, do you want to talk? Owen was like, no. And James was like, oh, you don't? He was like, no, I don't want to talk. And so, James goes and he tells Carla and them, he's like, damn, he was being real snappy. He act like he mad at me and I don't understand what's going on. And he has a diary room and he's like, I mean, I guess Owen's mad that he wrote my name down the last 2 tribal councils and now he doesn't trust me. But it's like, if you go against the king, then you're going to get beat, babe. Like, I don't understand.
But no, he seemed to forget all of that. Like, he forgot all of that. He forgot that he was plotting to get this man out episodes before. Like I said, this has been a one-sided beef.
Let me put some comments up real quick. If Owen goofy ass win this season, they'll say after whining and crying and being on the bottom the whole game, that's all he did is whine, like literally. I might just spontaneously combust. I fear. Isabel said, if Carla don't win, my good sister, this was your downfall,
This
babe.
was. Ain't no way in hell she should have let James go at all.
Miss Brown Sugar says, nah, Owen ain't winning this. He's just easier to get out at any time. And that's
I hope.
I don't think Owen, gameplay-wise, in my mind, if I was just analyzing gameplay, I'd be like, Owen's not winning. I'm only thinking about
that. But imagine if Owen is next to Cassidy or Ryan. When Ryan's out. Gabler. Noelle. I don't see
like a Noelle.
This season hate women. So I don't think any woman is winning this game unless it's Carla.
And that's the thing, like Owen is forcing himself. Let's be honest, like I hate to talk about people as a human, but in this game at least Owen is being victimizing himself. And what it could do to benefit him is that if he does make it to the end, people can remember, oh, he's been complaining and crying and whining since he got to jury. Maybe he was actually, he made it here.
Because you have to think about it. We've literally seen so many character moments from Owen of him saying, nobody wants to work with me. It reminds me of when people didn't want to be my friend growing up and things like that. Those are not coincidences here. You got to read between the lines. Like, this is his winner arc. None of y'all wanted to work with me. I got out my rival, James. I'm the one who didn't have any allies. I fought to be here. That's how he wins.
So, after that, we get to the immunity challenge right after that. So at the immunity challenge, you are going to have to hold this handle up and the handle's going to hold the ball up. The twist this time is that there's going to be 2 separate teams. So they
Mhm.
split into 2 teams, and I'm gonna put them on the screen for the people who are visual learners.
Aw.
Um, so they have 2 separate teams, and these teams are going to be the ones who are going to tribal council with each other. So they're gonna go to tribal council with each other. They're also going to vote in these 2 separate teams this round. There's gonna be 2 different immunities, one from each team. So, boom. Team 1 is Cassidy, Cody, Jesse, Gabler, Ryan. That's the red team. The blue team is Carla, James, Noel, Owen, and what's his boy name? Sammy.
Mhm.
So
And
we can just talk about the teams
immediately,
immediately. I was like, James is going home.
yep.
That's the first thing I thought, because the way the tribe is set up is it's set up in 3-2 minority for James, because Owen, Sammy, and Noel have all been in a group together these last 3 votes, in the quotation minority together these last 3 votes. So now they have the opportunity to be the quotation majority, which is why I think Survivor added this little split up thing, because it allows people in the minority to have a chance.
Yeah, and I do like it. I think it's a cute twist.
Yeah, I enjoy it also. I think it makes the game harder for people who do have a majority in the game, like James did. So I'm not knocking the twist, but when I saw the twist, I was like, oh, James is going home, because he's in a tribe situation where he's set up to just fail. And I think the only negative of the twist is that it can cause a good player to go home at the hands of bad players, just because of the way it switches up. No shade. I'm not saying they're horrible players, but they're not. They clearly weren't in the majority of the overall tribe. And I think what the point of the merge in Survivor is that it shows kind of who can still stay on top, even if they were on top on their original tribe. And I think resplitting them up after the decks have been handed out, like essentially James, Carla, and Jesse said, these people are on the bottom, you people are on the bottom, and we're gonna run the game. And when they split it up, it kind of, ruined that entire hierarchy that they created of the first 3 rounds, and just switched the whole game up, which is good, but it also can be unfortunate for a good player, in my opinion, like James. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. So we get to the immunity challenge. They're all playing, and honestly, y'all, when it comes to the challenges, it's like it's not much I can say, babe. The girls started falling, and so we are on the
what is that challenge working? Like, I just feel like you have to
arms,
like any movement it falls. Like, I swear, people be just standing there and it starts moving.
It don't even look like they're moving. And babe,
you breathe, it's falling.
You have to put pressure. It's not like you're just holding it. You're pressuring it toward upwards.
Child, and Carla ate this challenge up. She said, what about the big girls? Period.
No, Carla ate it down. So for the
she ate it up.
Carla won immunity. And honestly, it was iconic. I was like, oh my gosh, she ate it up. And I was happy, because I was like, this now opens up the door for maybe a chance for James to stay, because James does have the knowledge of power advantage if he uses it to take Noel still a vote, for example. Also, I was like, oh, maybe if Carla finds out they're trying to vote James, we can just convince somebody. So I was like, oh, it opens up the door for James and Carla to succeed in this situation that they're in. And we see how that goes. So for the red team, Cody wins immunity. Who's gagged? Not me. And so we find out they're going to go back to different beaches. So
I honestly now. Well, no, I'm kind of happy Cassidy stayed up on Ryan. Ryan was just a body yaddy. And at least we can look at him clean now.
Yeah, exactly. He's still here. So Cody's tribe, since Cody lasted longer than Carla, they're going to win a reward, and also they get to go to tribal council second, so they will see who got voted out from the blue team. So we go back to camp, and we're going back to the red team's camp, which is the winning team's camp. So that's Cody, Cassidy, Jesse, Gabler, and Ryan. So they sit down, they're eating, they're Kiki King, and then when we get to the gameplay, boom, we see Gabler talk to Ryan, and he tells Ryan, I mean, babe, Cassidy can go.
It's like, another woman, child.
Here you go, child. So,
another damn woman. Girl.
So Gabler is basically going to go to all the men and tell them that Cassidy can go, and he's going to see how that works. But
what is the basis behind Cassidy going? Like, quickly.
Actually, there was basis. They talked about how the trio of James, Carla, and Cassidy is running the game, and they need to split up Coco. So Cassidy going will help split up Coco, which is a good basis. That's a good basis.
Okay. You're right.
Clearly not that good, because it wasn't a real trio, because Carla just voted out James. But hey, we move. We move. So that was the idea. I think it was a good idea. And so the other option is Cassidy's option, which Cassidy wants Ryan to go. She's been wanting Ryan to go for a while. She has this beef one-sided, low key. Well, it's created side because now Ryan knows she's after him. But anyways, so but we see Jesse and Cody have a discussion. And Cody and Jesse are talking. Well, Jesse is talking with Cassidy. And Jesse and Cassidy walk up to Cody. And essentially, Jesse and Cassidy are like, Cody, what we're doing, we're voting Ryan, right? And Cody hesitates. And Cassidy has a diary. She's like, I want to trust Jesse and Cody a lot, but I'm scared because you can't really ever trust anyone, and Cody's hesitating. And then we go back to the blue team. So at the blue camp, Carla has a diary room. She's like, James is in my alliance. I'm loyal to James, and he wants to vote out Owen. So it's looking like I'm going to be voting out Owen tonight.
Period. As she should have.
Period. As she should have. So we see Owen walk away from the camp, and so does James. And Noelle is telling Sammy and Carla that we need to vote Owen.
Mm-hmm.
We need to vote Owen. What's going to happen is Owen is going to try to convince me and Sammy to vote James. But I'm not going to let that shit happen. We need to make sure we don't let it happen. And we're going to gag them. We're going to gag the fuck out of them. So Owen got to go. Period. And okay.
Now, mind you, she's playing mind games.
Mind you, she's playing mind
games. Because this is Noelle Spradlin right now.
At that moment. Y'all, I'm gonna say it right now, I'm not a Noelle fan. You will hear me shading all episode. So after this, Owen and James are talking at the waterway. Owen asks, so James, what you think about tonight? And James kind of hesitates. And Owen's like, I mean, what do you think about the vote? And James is like, I mean, it is what it is. And Owen gets upset. Owen gets aggressive, one might say. And he says that he's like, I mean, James, like, are you basically telling me you're going to vote me? And James is like, I mean, you have voted me. And Owen's like, I mean, no, the issue is that before the vote for Janine, what had happened was that you told me straight up that you were not voting Janine and you lied. And James is like, I mean, okay, like, you voted me, no? And so,
mind you, James is very low-toned.
Very low. Can't even hear him.
Owen is getting so heated. Like that's why I understand. Like Owen has every right to be wary of James because obviously James doesn't trust him. But I feel like the hissy fits, the tantrum about it, like blowing up at him because he doesn't want to work with you. It's like he's literally upset that James doesn't want to work with him after he has shown that he does not want to work with him.
Girl. So they're literally bickering for a while, and they're walking up back to camp. And so they walk up to camp, literally arguing, and the other three people are just standing there like, what's going on?
And James come back. I'm the problem. Everything's my fault. Everything's it's me. And James hilarious.
And they're like, what's going on? What's going on? And so basically, Owen explains. He's like, James lied to me, said he was going to write my name down. And James is like, I mean, so did you write my name down? The first two tribals? I was like, I didn't write your name down the second tribe. He was like, did you write my name down the first time? I was like, yes. And he was like, so what's worse? You writing my literal name down or me not telling you to vote? So we go back to the red team. At the red team, we see Jesse and Cody have a conversation alone because, when it comes to Jesse, he's giving Omer from last season. No matter what they talked about, wait for Jesse.
Jesse, the final decision. And,
Jesse is the decision.
He got his bestie, Jesse Cody, right there with him.
And his best pal, Cody. So they talk, and essentially, they're talking about how Ryan could be a good shield. And then they also say, if Cassidy goes home and we vote out Cassidy, we could piss off James and Carla, and we don't want to necessarily piss them off. So we got to really see what we're going to do or whatever. So Jesse's like, we have an advantage because we get to see which one of them they vote out. So maybe if they just vote out James, since Carla would have no choice to work with us, we could maybe vote out Cassidy. And then if they vote out Owen, then we can just stay loyal to Cassidy and vote out Ryan. So that's the concept they came up with at this point. And they talk about, what about Gabler? Are we just going to tell Gabler? And Cody is like, you know what? I think we should just tell Gabler. We should tell Gabler and we should bring him in. So that's exactly what Cody does. Cody gets up, he talks to Gabler, and he's like, you got my trust, bro? And Gabler's like, I got your trust. And Gabler has a diary. He's like, I'm happy they did this because I wanted to work with Jesse and Cody. Anyway.
Well, we see in the preview, That quickly becomes not the case. And that's why it's
Absolutely not.
really dangerous to want to bring Gabler in. Everyone who brings
Mhm.
Gabler in, so far we've seen him ruin them. He did it to Ellie. He low-key exposed Sammy, Janine, literally
Janine and
all
them.
of Baka. And then we see in the preview for next episode, he's already turning on Jesse and Cody. So it's like, you really cannot trust Gabler like that. And it's like, the thing about Gabler, like, no one really saying Gabler's
I don't know. It's giving. I would prefer him to win than Owen. I don't know. But so
I told you, I could tell. I really can see Gabler winning.
I can see it too. I can see it now. His edit has been pretty good.
But also, like, honestly, it's like Cody. I feel like shout out to
Wouldn't
Cody too. I feel like Cody took a lot of initiative. I don't know if it's like I said. I don't know how great of work it is because we know Gabler is not someone to be trusted. But it's like, I don't know. I like Cody taking more initiative here.
I agree. So after this, we go back to the blue team. At the blue team's
and he will always be an icon for taking out Ellie.
Period.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Because if Gabler wins, I'm not going to be mad.
Team Gabler, bitch. Team motherfucking Gabler. Team Gabler.
I'm not going to be mad. So
justice for Mariah. He did it for Mariah. Yep. I don't care what I say.
Back at the Blue Tribe, Noelle is talking to James about the vote. And she has a diary room and she says, honestly, y'all, I lied.
No. Why is she like this though? For real?
No, Noelle is cracked.
Just like JK.
Noelle is a cracked queen. I'm very conflicted about Noelle.
I am.
I'm very conflicted about.
I am.
I'll leave it there. But she's a cracked queen at least. Well, she's cracked.
She's giving. You know what? She's giving what I thought Tori could give for last season. Like this is kind of like Tori upside.
I see it. So Noelle has a diary room. She says, I'm lying. I'm definitely not voting out Owen. We need James to go. James been running this shit since off rip, and he needs to fucking go. So she goes to Owen and Sammy. She tells them, we got to vote out James. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend to steal. Well, I'm going to steal Owen's vote, but I'm still going to vote James out with it. So that way we can prevent James from using a advantage or from playing his shot in the dark. So that's the plan.
And let's talk about that.
I'm not gagged
because we already know it went through. And I feel like definitely for the smoke and mirrors effect. Like overall, since the plan went through, it's a pretty good plan. At least for this episode, at least. You know what I mean? I don't necessarily think Noelle is God tier player. But this is a great move. You know, most people don't do moves at all.
Most people don't do anything at all.
But it's like, I don't know. I just feel like, did she have to do that to try and trick James? I don't think James thought he was going home at all. I don't think James would have played shot in the dark. You could have kept your still a vote going into a top 8 where you don't really know where you're. Because Noelle, this was a great move for her, but we have to talk about moves in the sense of what does it do for your game moving forward. And it really depends on how the deck shuffles after this, if she'll be okay. But having that advantage could have been really well.
Here's my thing about this entire tribe. I feel like they tried to give. Well, I feel like Noelle deserves some credit, and I feel like they gave Noelle some credit in the edit. Yes. I also feel like they tried to falsely give Owen some credit. My issue with this team is that it was automatically James goes home unless he somehow uses his advantage right. In my mind, at least, it was not a gag because since they did it kind of later in the merge, it's already been 3 rounds in the merge. We already knew where the side stood. So there was a minority and there was a majority. 3 people here are in the minority. It's a 5-person tribe. James was going to go home whether Noelle lied to James or not, whether she gagged Carla and James or not. So-called like that fake plan and her fakely telling them we're voting on and da-da-da-da.
It's beautiful stunts and shows, but how much does it actually help her?
I don't think it changed the outcome at all. I think I think they could have all went back to the tribe. Like nobody said anything and James still would have went home. They could have all went back to the tribe. Everybody could have said everything. James still would have went home, in my opinion. So I'm not gagged.
I find a great comparison would be when Marianne took out Omer. But in that situation, that actually propelled her game because it was actually like 5 people left in the game. They were also not going to do it until Marianne said, no, babe,
that too. Continue to do it.
She's in a final 5 situation. She's not going into like top 6, you know what I mean? Like that was at a pivotal part. And I feel like this type of move you make at a pivotal part in the game and this was like, yes, this is a big vote, but it's like you could have saved this. Like
You could have saved your advantage. You could have also saved your perception. Because now when people go back, if I'm Sammy and I'm Owen, if we go back to camp, I'm be like, that was Noelle. Noelle kind of ate it up. She took him out because I want you to be a bigger threat. It's very possible for Noelle to not be seen as a threat and go home before she makes it to the final three because she want to do all the stunts and shows. And now she doesn't have her still a vote, which could have been useful later in the game. It's still top 10. Like this vote, now she's in top 8, but the vote happened at top 10 and you already used your advantage. When you didn't have to, I don't feel like this was necessary. I saw a tweet and the tweet was like, oh my God, she's using her still a vote as a defense mechanism and she's shielding too. Da, da, da. In my opinion, I think she overthought it. I also think people are over gagged. I feel like if she just did this and didn't use her still a vote, now she has still a vote.
And gagged him. So
and gagged him.
Yeah.
So after this, Sammy goes right from Noelle's conversation. And this is another reason why low-key Noelle didn't gag it up, neither did Owen, because they didn't have shit on lock for real. They didn't have shit on lock for real at all. Because right after this conversation, Sammy snitches. He tells Carla every single thing they said. And he tells Carla, I want to vote with you no matter what. He tells us to the DR that I trust Carla the most and I don't want to do anything unless Carla knows.
And child, what the fuck is Carla out there doing on that island?
Girl, she gotta
be. These people be
I don't know.
Love with Carla.
I don't know what she's doing. She must
child,
be
that's that Carla voodoo, that Cardi, that Carla Bruhelli. I mean, like,
girl,
she got these.
That's that Carla voodoo.
Because how did this bond forge?
Because we saw glimpses of it, but like the way he said, "I'm not doing shit without Carla." So, and that's why. That's another reason that justifies my opinion of Noelle. Honestly, I would have thought of Noelle regardless. But honestly, like it's like you did all of this, you did all these guys, you quotations tricked Carla and James, but Sammy went and told Carla right after. So you didn't trick anybody. Carla's like, oh, Noelle just lied to my face for no reason. No, seriously. So if Carla does go back and she's like, Noelle can go because she lied straight to my face, like for no reason, then what? You know? So Sammy tells Carla everything, and he's like, Carla, what do you want to do? And Carla has a diary. She's like, if James is a number for me, so I don't necessarily want him to go. However, he is a big, huge player. And this could be a good move for me because we're taking out a huge player. Someone who she mentioned James's perception is greater than mine. And I think in Carla's mind, she's thinking, if I go with James, it's a very likely chance that I have to end up in final 3 with James. I'm choosing kind of him. And if I end up in final 3 with James, I'm not going to win. I think she's thinking like, I'm choosing a group of people who I have to go with. If I go with the James group of people, I'm probably going to lose, bitch, because James's perception is so great. But what I'm doing right now is trying to get in her head. I don't know what she was thinking, because if it was me, James would not be gone.
And also, too, I'm also looking, you guys are split in this situation. Like, that you voted with 2 people in Noelle and Owen that you have never really voted with, that you have actively worked against this entire time. I just feel like, in my mind, there's no way in hell I'm about to be doing that. Because in a way, by taking out James, you just went with him. You know what I mean? And I don't see her necessarily extending these relationships. So what did you gain? And Sammy has some form of relationship with Owen. I mean, I don't know if that's going to actually stick or something like that. But it's like, it's just, I don't know. But the thing is, how much could Carla do? I guess she could have convinced Sammy more. But, Sammy comes back and says, like, I want James to go, so I'm going to convince Carla. So, and, I can see Carla being like, well, I'm definitely not using my idol. But it's like, I don't know. At first, I was like, she should use the fucking idol. But it's like, I think that was just my bias talking, because if Noelle should have used that sort of vote, she damn sure shouldn't fucking use that.
She should have used her idol, but I think she should have just told Sammy who to vote. Sammy at Tribal Council looks at her. What do you want me to do?
Yeah.
Sammy genuinely would voted who Carla told him to vote. And if that's the case, you should have told him we're doing Owen, babe. And he would have done Owen, and Owen would have went the fuck home. Owen and Carla have no relationship. Why is Owen here?
And that's the thing. I forgot about that. He does do that in the tribal. And it's like, honestly, that kind of shows the type of player that Sammy is a little bit. I thought he had a little bit. I thought he had shows a little bit more. But it's like, he over here, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know, child. It's crazy. I don't know. This is not, whether she could have avoided it or not, this was not good for Carla. I think James was a really huge asset to her.
Also, a really huge target in front of her. If James goes home, you have to scramble for new targets. You see next episode, they're scrambling and they settle on Jesse and Cody. But if one of them goes, then what, babe? then what, babe? You won an immunity. You were in this Coco trio that people have in their mind. They're like, there's a Coco trio: Carla, James, and Cassidy. We got to get them out. We got to get them out. If James is gone and Jesse goes, and now they're thinking again, well, I mean, Carla was a part of the Coco trio. She has people in the jury who's going to vote for her. Carla's a close player. Then you got to go, babe. And it's like, I feel like it was too early. I see.
Because that's the thing. You may end up in the end with him, but he's also a target in front of you. James' name was always going to be said before Carla.
Always going to be said before Carla. And now he's gone. It opens up. James going is bad for anybody who James wasn't after, I feel. Because I feel like it might have been even bad for a Sammy, because James going opens up the game for anyone to now be the next target or to be a big target. It makes it way more fluid than I would have liked it.
Yep.
I definitely would have wanted James to stay in this vote.
Yep, because it officially breaks up this majority alliance and everyone scrambles.
Mm-hmm. And now we're finding who's the next target. So I don't know. Also, initially Jesse and Cody said if James goes, we might vote out Cassidy. And I didn't see Carla talk about what they might do. I'm thinking she just assumed it was going to be Ryan because she knows Cassidy was close to her and they were considering Ryan for a second. But it's like, babe, you need to be thinking like, ooh, if Cassidy goes and James goes, then what, Buki? So, and I didn't see a diary room about that. But so we head into tribal council. We do the blue team tribal council first, of course. And we see Jeff start asking them irrelevant questions. Don't say. But Sammy talks about the James and Owen argument eventually. And Sammy brings up that what happened was they went to the water well and they started, talking. And Owen kind of butts in and he's like, look, I was disappointed. I was upset about being left out of the last vote. And I feel like James was lying to me, like straight to my face. And Noelle is like, no, y'all were yelling. It was more of an argument. Jeff was like, seems like it was more of an argument, Owen. And Owen was like, yeah, it was. So then James starts talking. He's like, I don't know why you're mad at me because you decided to vote for somebody who wasn't going home. Just because I said so? Like, you're mad at me for that? For what? And Jeff breaks it down. He's like, okay, so what it seems like is that, James told you the vote was Ryan. And you're upset that you voted Ryan. And Owen was like, exactly. And in my opinion, how are you mad?
Like, I mean, you can only be mad at yourself. Like it's just blowing up at this man because of that.
Literally,
it's a game. It's a game, babe.
So all of it happens. Blah, 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 blah. We get to the rest of the tribal. During the tribal, Owen and them are answering questions, and Sammy's in the back whispering to Carla. He's like, "Who do you want me to vote?" And she doesn't say anything from what we see. And then he asks her again later on. He looks at her. He bites nails. He's asking for guidance, like a little puppy, shade. And we don't see what she says or if she says anything. But when we get to the vote reveal,
and honestly, this is the knowledge is power curse again. This is the fourth time that they didn't try to put this shit on the island, and that shit been flopped. And it went to Liana, Queen, Drea, Gio, and now James. This will never be used. Stop. Put it on Ghost Island and wrap it up. Okay?
Hurry,
stop. If you get this advantage, you might as well seal it. Like, it's over. It's over.
It's over.
Everyone with the knowledge is power advantage has lost the game. This is a new Survivor. What is it? Curse.
Trivia.
For real. Like, everyone with the knowledge power curse did not win the game. Like, you do not need to get that. I can't wait for the day it's used correctly. It's really gonna eat. Oh,
it's really gonna eat.
Oh,
if it ever happens, damn.
I feel like it will. It will one day, and it's gonna eat so nasty. It's gonna, because this is gonna be the first time it worked. It's gonna be like, oh shit, that's gonna be the game when it moves, bitch.
So James gets voted out, and honestly, like at this point, we're waiting to see what Carla decided to do because she essentially controlled Sammy's vote. And when James went home, what I told Lee, I said, that's dumb for Carla. That's dumb as fuck for Carla.
Yeah.
And I feel different knowing that Cassidy didn't go.
Exactly.
But I still didn't think that it was, with the knowledge that she had, I don't think it was necessarily the right move. Like I said, she has no relationship with Owen and none with Noelle. So I don't think it was smart to keep two people who you have no relationship with over someone who you have been playing this game with the entire time with. this early. It's top 10. James got 10th place. He's not even in single digits. I feel like you could have. James is not a competition beast, and everyone wants him out. You could have got James out at similar to Shan. Similar to what happened to Shan. Similar to what happened to Shan.
Yep.
You don't have to take Shan out. Shan is going to get voted. Everyone wants her out. So if she's working with you, that's great for you because as soon as you want them out, they will go. Carla shouldn't have want none of her allies to go until she decided they were going to go. This was not her decision. This was Sammy brought it to her because if Sammy never told her anything, it wouldn't have been in her mind for James to go. She did not genuinely want James to go. And if you didn't want one of your allies to go until you wanted him to go, is when he should have went. And that's not what happened. And I feel like that is just an indication that this was not a good game move. You didn't even want him to go initially. You were essentially convinced for him to go because someone brought the idea to you. And anytime the idea was not yours, I don't think it's a good move, honestly. Almost 90% of the time.
Because at the end of the day, if someone's bringing you a move, I mean, it's in their best interest first. It always will be. This is something that they want to happen. So,
and that's the thing. I feel like you should sit here and you should think about this tribe. James getting out is in this, like even in this 5. Who is James getting out good for? It's better for Owen, Sammy, and Noel's game before it's better for Carla's. And I would never want something to be better for somebody else's game before it's better for mine, ever. And so James should not have win. This was
like I would have been like Sammy, of course not. Like she should I don't know. Like I it just there was definitely a way to keep him. Like there's a majority. Like y'all was in the majority alliance. Like this only helps the minority, and that's not good.
That's not good at all. And honestly, another thing was she knew in her alliance that her competition was Jesse and Cody. And if Jesse and Cody are still lockstep, and you and James were the lockstep duo against them, why did you just vote him out? Yep. So now, if let's say they do go back to the tribe, and if Jesse and Cody did pull in Gabler how they thought they did, she would have been fucked in a lot of ways. She got essentially lucky that did not happen. She also got lucky that they didn't vote out Cassidy. Like I don't know. I feel like from the knowledge she had, it was a bad move. And she will be rated accordingly, I fear. So,
unfortunately, child, the ratings going to be all over the place,
girl. So on the Red Tribe, they go to the tribal council, and we see that Cody and Jesse are a big gag. Honestly, they're a big gag. They're like, ooh, because there was an alliance, and Sammy was allegedly in it, and so was James, and so was Carla. So it's like, how did this happen? Somebody clearly flipped. But knowing this information, I was thinking, oh, maybe they'll vote out Cassidy. But we get to the vote, and they just voted out Ryan, which is fine. So I'm assuming they just decided we're just gonna vote out Ryan regardless, like fuck all the bullshit, and that's what happened. So Ryan went.
And it's like poor Ryan, because he was nothing in the game. So it's like the fact that he's going home here, it's like, well, he's just another easy vote. Like there's been a lot of easy votes. James is the first player I feel like I can accurately say this season is like, okay, y'all got somebody out.
Y'all got somebody else.
Somebody, there was Noel. Like, shout out to Noel, I guess, because this is the player. Like, no shade to anyone else. But
all shade to everybody else. This is an actual player. So, girl, let's hop into these motherfucking ratings. Alrighty, girl. A lot of color. So, we are in top 8. Congratulations to the top 8 or whatever. Even though only 2 of them are playing the game, no shade. Might as well be final 2. But anyways, James was voted out this episode, unfortunately. What would you rate James as an overall player? We were giving him 8.5s and 7.5.
And honestly, I feel like it's really unfortunate, and that's the thing I really want to stress. I do not think this is showing how he is. This episode does not determine his overall game plan as a Survivor player, because at the end of the day, he was twist screwed. If he did not get divided into these 2 teams, I think he would have definitely stayed. He may not have
even if the teams were divided differently. If he was on the other team, he would not have went home. I don't think Jesse and Cody are voting him out like that.
So honestly, I think I want to give him an ending number of 6. I think that's a good thing because we've seen him evade a lot of votes. Like his name was said over and over and over again, and he was able to get out of that. He faced so many adverse situations. I feel like the only slight negative about James is that he really wasn't good at maintaining his threat level. Like he was good at getting out of these situations, but his name was continuously being said. He was continuously being that target, and in the game of Survivor is unpredictable. This situation occurred and he went home because of that. You know what I mean? So, and I think Carla even mentioned it, like his perception was so great. I think James is a great player, but I think his perception was like, I mean, Owen was calling him the Godfather. Like he's just moving pieces around like it's nothing. Like, and that's really good, but you have to be able to maintain that. And it would have always been a fight for James, even if he got past this round. You know what I mean? So, I mean, the fact that his closest ally flipped when she really didn't have the choice to, from what we're seeing in that, it's like that sucks a lot. So I feel like a 6, honestly, 6.5. 6.5. Because I do feel like he's a great player. Like, I don't think he would have went home at all if it wasn't for this split. And I just like him being able to, just get out of so many sticky situations that we saw. Like, I can say his name was said a lot. And he was able to prevail and be in the majority alliance. It's just like, I think that was really good on his end.
Yeah, I agree. Honestly, I'm a little higher on James because I just feel like a lot of things were particular to this specific season. I feel like if James played last season or the season before, he could have easily won, in my opinion, because I feel like there was actually competitors in those last seasons. I think the fact that this season was full of duds, for lack of a better word, it amplified his threat level. I do think James is good at hiding. I actually think James is good at hiding his threat level, but because of the cast we were giving, it was no one to hide behind. I think if James was in the same cast as Shan, even Deshaun, like if it was James instead of Danny in Survivor 41, I think if it was James instead of Danny, James would have won that game. I think Deshaun's threat level, Shan's threat level, Ricard's, all of them would have been way higher than James in a season where he was playing with actual players. Even last season, Drea, Omer, even Romeo and them. I think all of them would have been seen as bigger threats than James. I think in general, his threat level is actually managed pretty well. I just think in this cast, you are playing against Owen, Sammy, who's struggling, who's begging Carla for a vote, Noelle, who has done nothing but get him out. Like Abler, who's goofy, Cody, who's following Jesse, Cassie, who's done nothing, like Ryan, who's done nothing, like Janine, who did nothing but follow Ellie, who did nothing but fuck her game up, Dwight, who really did nothing. No shade.
No
shade. But James it was almost forced for him to be a target because no one else is playing the game for real. If I'm in the cast and I'm like, well, no one's playing the game, but James is pretty social, and then he's the first vote, and then he stays. It's like, ooh, he was social and he stayed. So now James is vote. I think it was circumstance. I also think if it wasn't split in the way it split, which is by the luck of a fucking rock draw, I don't think he would have went home. So I'm gonna give him a 7.5. I do feel like he is overall like probably a 7.5 player. Like I feel like thinking conceptually of past players who played, like maybe a Ricard. I feel like the way Ricard played, people would say it's like a high 6 or maybe a 7 and stuff like that. I feel like he's better than Ricard. Like just thinking of other people who would be around this area, I genuinely think he's just a better player than him. He was just got this season. If he was in another season, he probably would do that. But hey, we don't know that, but that's how I feel. Ryan.
Girl, not much to say. It's a 2. Ryan, I have enjoyed the body yaddy. I really have. Fine, gorgeous, beautiful man. But that's it.
And that's all. And that's enough.
And that's all he needs.
That's all you need.
I still love you the same.
I will.
And it will be on my knees.
Be on my knees the same way. Mm-hmm. Maybe even quicker. I love somebody who's a little slow. No shade. So Cassidy. That was mean. That wasn't for real laugh. Anyway, so Cassidy, how do you feel about Cassidy, girl?
Cassidy, I feel like that's just I'm
not gagged. I'll say it. I'm not gagged.
She really ain't been given. She really ain't
and I got a bone to pick with you fans. It might not be people who are watching right now, but if you see this and you stand Cassidy, shut the fuck up. I said it. I'm sorry. She literally has done nothing. You stand her because she's a woman? And honestly, I support standing her just for being a woman.
Because especially when there's not too many women left in the game.
I'll give you that. However,
but like I don't think Noelle over here making
just stand Noelle and Carla.
Like
because
like
Noelle and Carla.
The issue with Cassidy is that we have not seen her. We've seen her in so many situations where she literally is the target, but we haven't seen her work to get out of those situations. I think socially, it's something to say that she always ends up in the majority. You know what I mean? Like her name gets said, but she always ends up on the right side of the vote. But that's not a lot of what she's doing. I think people are just kind of saving her ass. No shade. So for me, it's gonna be a 4. I just think I don't know. Like I think once again she may get into a good position, but we need to see Cassidy do something, or she's not going to be respected at the end of this game, especially because she is a woman this season. Like I do not see them respecting um um any of the women's game except maybe Carla at this point, because the way I feel like the men have just took over in this situation, they're definitely going to respect each other because that's always what men do.
It is. I'm not gagged by Cassidy. I feel like gameplay wise, she's not doing much at all. She is surviving, like she's still in the game, and I think that's something. I think it could be something socially, but we haven't seen it be something socially. We've seen Ryan not like her when he doesn't even have to not like her, and I feel like that's not good. If Jesse and Cody simply decided to vote out Cassidy, she would be gone. So they clearly weren't too gagged. It's not like they said they saved her because they're loyal to her. They just decided either Ryan or Cassidy, which one we're gonna do. And they decided on Ryan. If they just decided on Cassidy, she would be out. And I feel like that shows that she's not really gagging the girls like that. Sure, she did approach them. She did try to reaffirm that the three of them are together, and I think that's positive. But they're over here trying to get with Gabler when you're right there and make a three with Gabler. So I feel like that shows that she's really not gagging the girls the way she needs to. It's a 4 for me. Next we have Cody. So last week I gave Cody a 4.5. And I think I gave him a 4 before that. But I'm increasingly going up on Cody. Cody has shown that he is active. He is playing his own game. What? And I like that. He actively went to Gabler this episode, tried to make a 3 with him, Jesse and Gabler. He has been in a good position along with Jesse. He has been with Jesse making a lot of these moves. I think he will be respected easily because he is not only a man, but also white. And I think that's going to really help his respect if he makes it to final 3. The thing that I feel like is a downfall is that I don't genuinely think he is necessarily strategic himself. I think he needs Jesse. Yeah. So if people start targeting them, I think Cody could be the one who goes home because Jesse is more strategic and he can get his stuff out of it. I think if Jesse does go home, I think Cody will then go home right after. Because he kind of needs Jesse. So I'm not confident in him making it to the end if they're targeted. However, it's top 8. He still has an idol. And does he? Yes, he does. Jesse also has an idol. I forgot about that. Yep. So that's also very beneficial. I think it's good that he saved Cassidy because even if like someone like Gabler might go against him, technically they saved Cassidy. They worked with Cassidy, so they have a bond with Cassidy. Cody has loose bonds with Carla through Jesse a little bit. This episode. So it's like we'll see what happens, but I don't see Cody as someone who spreads his wings enough. Noel doesn't necessarily like him, and he doesn't talk to Owen or Sammy. He's just started talking to Gabler. So it's like, and he doesn't really talk to Cassidy. So it's like, socially, he's not really doing much. I'm gonna just give him a 5. Yeah. He has a chance. He has an idol. He's in top 8. He did something this episode.
Yeah, I think he definitely earns the 5 as well. I think it's really scary though because we see him. I think he's in really good active work, but like I said, like we see in the preview that Gabler is telling Carla, Jesse and Cody is running the ship. We got to do something about it. So it's like that work. I don't know if it's going to go too far. With him being surrounded by such good players like Carla and Jesse, I think if they're able to continue with majority, he's someone who's going to be looking in that end game. And I feel like there could be a perception of Cody that could help him win the game as well. I feel like, people, it's not like people, I feel like, see him as just like a dud in the game. I think his peers see him, I feel like, if someone could be worthy. So, I definitely think he has a chance to get there.
I agree. How do you feel about Daddy Gabler? Like,
I don't know. Gabler eating it up. Like I said, the icon that he is, he got out Ellie, and he's been eating it up ever since. Got him a few individual immunities. Oh, yeah. Well, not a few, but he got immunity a few times.
What?
So he's really eating it up, I fear. And like I said, it's really it's like I thought a lot of people would be in jury saying his name. I thought he would be annoying people, but he's really just flying under the radar. And he's been active in getting out people. He's been in the conversations. People want to bring him in. He seems to be socially doing pretty well. It's just I'm still not fully there with Gabler. I don't know that like strategically that is just all working. But I feel like he's going to be involved in some important votes. Like if Jesse or Cody gets targeted and it's Gabler conversation that kicks that off, that will be real nasty. Or Carla go right back to her bestie Jesse and rat him out. So you really never know. But I feel like, same with Cody, like it's top 8. he doesn't have the idol, but I feel like he's in a position to where like no one's really saying his name, and I think he has a story, and he also could potentially get votes. Like I'm gonna say it's a 5 for him.
Yeah. I actually agree with the 5. I feel like Gabler has a way better chance at winning this game. I feel like he's actually playing very actively. He has been the catalyst to vote conversations and to people getting voted out. If Gabler won, I would not be mad. He's actually actively playing the game. All shade to Owen. And
Oh no.
I feel like it would be earned in a way because we see the preview. Just him mentioning Jesse and Cody being running the game is amazing because they kind of are, bitch. So it's like
Yeah.
he's clocked. Like I really, really do like that. I feel like he could get the credibility to get voted. He is a man. All men have to do is a little bit, babe. So I feel like he has a chance. There's not much else to say though. Daddy father, yes. Ooh. So
Jesse will run a vote.
I feel like after this move that Carla did, in my opinion, and the big majority of who was running the game, I feel like of James, Carla, and Jesse, that and technically Cody, that it was 2 versus 2, like Cody and Jesse versus Carla and James, who's going to take control of the game a little bit more. And I feel like, even though it's not set in stone, Carla letting James go helped Jesse a lot. Like James going is really good for Jesse, in my opinion, and not so good for Carla, in my opinion. However, we see that the game is going to be shifting because James going means that all of the people in the minority are still here. Noel, Owen, Sammy, and Gabler, who wasn't really with them. We see that people are starting to think of new targets because James cannot be the target anymore. We need another one. And I think that that's going to change some things clearly. However, I don't think Jesse's going home. I think if Cody and Jesse are targeted, people will target Cody. I think if Cody and Jesse are targeted, Jesse could easily get told about it because of his social relationship, and he could use his idol. They both have an idol. One idol just has to be used, and I think that could happen. So I don't think it's necessarily set in stone that he'd go, but the game just busted wide open, and I'll tell you, bring it back. So it's gonna be hard for me to give him like that 9 that I gave him last episode. It's still great that he has the idol. It's still great that he has Cody on lock. I think he still is gonna have a relationship with Carla, but clearly Carla don't give a damn about relationships. So I don't really know. Him and Noel were pretty cool after they reconciled, but I don't know. So I'm gonna have to give him. I'll just give him a 7. I'll give him a 7, and we'll see how it goes, babe. I don't think he made a mistake this episode, but
Yeah,
just busted open.
that's what I was gonna say. Like, it's gonna be really interesting to see what happens with Jesse because I feel like Carla and James were like they like he was definitely in that big 3 with them. I feel like it's the most strategic this season, but Carla and James I think were definitely ahead of him in some ways. That's why like I personally wasn't giving him as higher scores as them. But it's gonna be interesting because it's like I think Carla is now wounded and James is all the way out. So this really is, a moment for him to kind of I think like take charge and like run it to the end. But like my fear from Jesse all the way back in Bessie was like, I feel like could he be too passive? That's just my fear about him. Like I feel like we haven't really seen him take an aggressive approach to really, I feel like forge a path. It's all kind of behind the scenes, really slick, like which I love that gameplay. It eats down, but it's like one, what would his perception be if he's sitting next to a Cody? You know what I mean? If he's sitting next to maybe a Gabler, maybe a Owen, you never really know. So it's like that kind of scares me. I want to see him. I want to see him kind of, take control of the position that he's in. Because like I think, with Carla being wounded with James going out, like I think that really does put him at the forefront strategically of the game. So it'll just be interesting to see how he'll be able to maneuver that. I feel like Gabler mentioning his name isn't too bad. I guess we just have to see.
Honestly, to me, it proves that one of them probably isn't going home.
Yeah.
Because usually in that preview, if they're saying this is the big thing, it's giving Carla goes right back and tells Jesse to see. Because what I was gonna say is I feel like it was dumb for Carla to vote out James. I feel like it would be more dumb if the number 2 after James, which was basically Jesse, she let go home the next round. Like, girl, please be serious. So if she does, that would be something else.
So we'll just see. I feel like Jesse, I really would want Jesse to win this game if Carla doesn't at this point. And I feel like he's in a position to where, I feel like maybe he needs that, like, I don't know, not necessarily like the flashy move, but like something that's his. And I feel like he doesn't necessarily have that. Because every eviction child, not Big Brother, every elimination has been, like I said, I mean, look at them. Ellie, Dwight, Janine. Who are these people? like strategically, like those are not moves, and they were all kind of like we all decided this is where we're going. You know what I mean? It's not really been a lot of strikes at all when it comes strategically this season. So I don't know, but the thing is, it may not be needed. You know,
And he has that idol. Like, let's say
he
he
has
makes it
the
to final
idol.
three. He makes the final three. Very so inspired by Marianne.
Oh,
I have this idol that no one, the only idol that no one knew about this game. Thank you, Dwight, for giving me Janine's. Like, you can eat that up.
So honestly, I feel like I'm gonna do a 7.5 because I feel like the game is busted wide open, but I have faith that
to bring it back.
That he not like he like I feel like honestly if him and Jesse get targeted, if Jesse and Cody get targeted, I think Cody would just go. Yeah, and that would really help Jesse a lot because Jesse has his idol. Honestly, I feel like Cody would play his damn idol on Jesse. Like I don't know, like Jesse really had a lot of protection from a lot of angles.
I agree. How you feel about Carla?
Like I said, James going home was just really bad for her game. I feel like she was really in a good position, but honestly, like you really can't help this twist. Like it really, it came out of nowhere, and I feel like the way it was set up, with her literally being with people on the minority, like it was really bad for her. Like it easily could have been all of her alliance with one person that could have voted out, but that wasn't the case. So it's just like this situation, I don't know, because it's like it's hard to say like what could she have done, because I feel like that honestly could not have been much. Like of course Sammy was saying that, but it's like I feel like you never really know if that was just for show. You know what I mean? Like he could have been trying to kind of pretend to be like, because his whole gameplay is to want to seem weaker. So I don't know. I just feel like
I don't think that's a. I don't agree with that.
I don't know. I feel like it was just like that. Like I feel like there's not much she could have done to stop him from going a little bit.
I feel like there was a lot she could have done. I genuinely do. Like even if you didn't trust Sammy, you now have the knowledge. All you have to do is tell James, girl, take Noel's not a star advantage, so you can stay. She had multiple things she could have done. She could have just told Sammy to vote him to stay. She could have told James to use his knowledge of power advantage.
I feel like at this point, I really just don't know what happens for Carla going forward. Like we saw in the preview that Gabriel is going to her with information about Jesse and Cody. She still has Jesse and Cody. She also has Cassie. Like socially, she's still really good.
She has Sammy.
But it just sucks that she
might
lost
have Owen and Noel.
She literally just lost her closest ally. So I don't know. I have to bring her down for that. So I'll say it's a 7. Like I'm gonna bring her down too low. But this wasn't a good episode for her.
I agree with the 7. I feel like the decision really brought her down for me because I had her at 8.5. Now she's at a 7. Just because I don't agree with the decision, I feel like it was bad. But because she's such a great social player, she can easily get out of it. Like Jesse really likes her. Sammy is begging to do what she wants. She just voted with Owen and Noel. She's the only person here with a connection to everybody here, except Gabler. But we see Gabler's going to her about the vote in the preview. So it looks like she has a connection with everyone here, and I think that that's really, really good. She also still has an idol. She also just won immunity, so it shows that she has some type of credibility. Honestly, I'm gonna give her a 7.5. I feel like she's not someone to target until she gets exposed in some way, and I feel like it's gonna be harder for her to get exposed, even more so now that James is gone, and I think that that's beneficial. I definitely think Carla could still win this game. Hopefully, she does, so a woman can win one. And someone lesser doesn't. No shade. I'm gonna give her 7.5. I think it's okay for her. We'll see how it goes next episode. Noel. I'm gonna start with Noel. Like I said, last episode I gave her a 2.5. I'm not gagged by Noel. This episode, I'm still not gagged. Like I said, I feel like the quotations move that she's getting credit for was unnecessary. In my opinion, a lot of smoke and mirrors. I also think James was going home regardless, like I said. So I don't think she caused James to go home. I think James was just going home because of the way the tribe split up. I don't think she can ever do anything. I don't even think she can do smoke and mirrors again for the rest of this game. I don't think any move will be credited to her. I don't think she can do any more smoke and mirrors because she's not taken seriously. The last time she tried to do something, people were like, "No, it can go." She's being weird. She just so happens stayed. Even with this, I don't think anyone is going to hear about the tribal or see the tribal and be like, "Oh my God, Noel did that." I don't think anyone thinks Noel took out James. I think people might think Owen did it. Or people might just think, "Oh, this was his time to go." I don't think people are going to give Noel that credit. So I'm just not gagged. I also don't see her having the strategic chops still to make it to the end of the game and win the game. I feel like every episode makes it a little harder for her to win. I think she'll have a little more credibility than Cassidy because Cassidy is a woman. But all these men are going to just be seen as better players just because they're men, honestly. I think it's going to be hard for a woman to win this game already. And I feel like Noelle's gameplay isn't spectacular. And this is a hot take because the girls were on Twitter gagging down. But I didn't see it. I'm not gonna lie. But I will give her a 4.5. I think James going shoots her and Owen and Sammy's game up a lot. I think it was almost most beneficial for her after Owen for James to go. So because he went, I think that's good. I'll give her 4.5. And Ryan went. That's also good.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like honestly for this episode alone, I'll give it the 5. I feel like she did, in a way, this move kind of resets her game. Like I think she has a chance to potentially move up because with the way it's scattered, I think she could get into a majority position. You know, if she's able to keep Sam, if she's able to keep Owen. She doesn't have too many enemies at this point, and I don't see too many people going to say her name. And you know, she does speak up, and she is very, you know, open with her strategy, and that's really good. But it's just, you know, like you mentioned, I don't think she's done anything too spectacular. I think this is a great move this episode. This worked. I think honestly, like I want to give it a 5 because I feel like this move was so bad for the people in the majority. Like Carla, who's such a great player, James was doing so well, and that she made the move. Like I feel like she deserved the credit for that in a little bit because it was her going to.
They were gonna do it anyway.
Oh, and they were gonna do it anyway, but it's like, you know, the plan wouldn't have worked without her
saying
like
something,
wanting to get him out. You know what I mean? And that was on her.
That's just not enough for me. Her wanting to get him
but
out.
That's the thing. It's like we have Owen who was having the diary room saying James has to go because this and it, and we see nothing about him trying to get him out. So at least we see her actively trying to get him out, and he went home. So it's just, you know, I think that, you know, some credit for that for this episode. But it's like I mentioned earlier, how is this going to propel her? I won't be surprised if I bring her right back down, but it's a 5 for now.
Speaking of Owen, how do you feel about Owen?
I feel a lot about Owen. I feel a lot about
4.5 last episode.
I feel a lot about Owen. I feel like even though James went home, and the beef is one-sided, I do feel like it's still good for Owen's game. It's good for a lot of people's game because he was such a big target in the game. James was. So, and, you know, this breaks up that majority that he was not able to crack into. And the thing about Owen, and this is why I think that he's so set up to just be the winner, because no one is bringing him in, but no one is necessarily wanting him out to that. There are so many other targets in front of him, I feel like. You know, Gable's running around talking about Jesse and Cody. Obviously, Jesse and Cody are going to be seeing the stretch now. You know, and then you have Samuel who's flipping back and forth. Noelle thinks she Kim Spradlin. I don't know. It's a lot of people who I think could really be targets in front of him, which is good for him. But it's just, I don't, you know, it's like, I think he's going to win, but I'm struggling to see how he deserves it yet. Because from what we see, it's him just being, you know, left out of every vote and being dragged along. And he's not even that good socially because even he admitted that he gets shut out of these conversations. Like he literally blew up on James because he felt left out and not accepted in a way. No shade, basically. So it's just, I don't know. That's where it's hard for me. I think honestly I'm gonna keep it at a 4.5. I didn't see Owen do something successfully. Like I said, even this episode, it's like, oh, I don't like James. James needs to go, but we don't see him do anything. We just see him get told that, like, literally Noelle came to him and was like, I have to vote. We're going to do this. He was like, oh my God, I love this girl. Yes, James is going. Yeah, because you want James out. Like,
yeah, I'm sorry, y'all. Based on this episode, we saw him snap at James multiple times. We saw him get emotional in front of the tribe, telling everybody in the tribe that he wants to speak to Gabler and Sammy in front of the tribe. We saw him walk back to the tribe, arguing with James, bickering with James. We saw him have multiple diary rooms saying how he felt like James was the godfather and James felt this, and this. And honestly, like, according to what we've seen, or at least in my opinion, James wasn't actually doing that. I don't even think, honestly, I think a part of the reason James was seen as such a big threat is because of the fact that he didn't go home and he was supposed to. But in all actuality, I don't necessarily think James was that safe at all, considering his name was said 3 rounds in a row and he was struggling to actually stay. When it comes to who was actually a threat, he maybe should have took out someone like a Carla, but he couldn't take her out this round. But he didn't take anybody out. He didn't do anything. So
Mm-hmm.
him just being so gung ho against James, I feel like was not real, in my opinion. Like it wasn't an actual threat person who's running the game who he has to take out. I don't think James was necessarily running shit. I think James was the figurehead. I think James was the person who seemed the most, like Carla said, perception. He was being
Mm-hmm.
perceived as someone who was actually doing really well. He wasn't necessarily actually running the game, in my opinion. I think he was always most at risk of Carla, Jesse, Cody, and him. And because he was always most at risk, I feel like that's what prevented him from actually staying, for example, staying this round. But on top of that, him yelling around, him yelling at James, him getting upset, him clearly being emotional, shows that low key he's not a good player. I also feel like he's not a good player because he did not approach this vote in any way. What we saw was that Noelle went to Owen and Sammy. My thing is, if Noelle's plan was actually real, it didn't even seem like Owen went to Noelle to tell her to vote James. It seemed like he just was sitting there. And then
Mm-hmm.
Noelle went to him and said, "We're voting James." He also did this in the past when he was like, I want to make sure James goes home on the Janine vote or Ryan goes home, whoever it was. He said it and then he didn't do anything. We saw him say it in the diary room and then we saw everybody else plan out the vote. And it's like, where are you? Hello? So I'm going to give him a 3.
Ooh.
Like, and I don't like, please, what did he do this episode better than what Ryan did last episode when we gave Ryan? Nothing. So next we have Sammy. Sammy, I feel like it's very, very interesting, but every episode that passes just shows me that he has a lack of, I feel, what's the word? I just feel like he lacks the ability to take charge the way that he needs to, and that the way he
Or the
wants
way he
to.
wants to,
He
really.
wants to. He really, really wants to take charge. He wants to make someone do something, but he doesn't have the balls, it seems like. It seems like even this episode, he wanted James to go, and he said, I'm going to convince Carla to do it. And instead of convincing Carla to do it, all the way to the tribal council, he's asking her who she's going to do. And my thing is, the reason that I feel like it solidified to me that he didn't actually convince Carla, he kind of did, but he didn't really, is at the tribal.
Yeah.
Because if Sammy was pretending that he wanted to do what Carla did, he would not have mentioned that at the tribal because he wouldn't have wanted her to switch her mind. He would have been like, good, we're in the tribal, we're voting James. Let me not say nothing. Him asking and begging shows that he's genuinely true about his opinion, and he said it in the diary. And I feel like if you don't want to make a move without Carla, and you can't convince Carla to do what you want to do without then again asking her for her approval multiple times after, then it's not giving what it needs to give. I feel like his perception is not going to be seen as someone who's too strong. It's going to be a little bit hard for him to even win a jury vote. I feel like if he gets there, the more episodes that go by that he continues to play this in this manner, I think he is in a good position and has always been because he's good at positioning. I
Yeah.
feel I feel like that's his strongest suit is positioning. He knows how to vote with the majority, even if
Yeah.
he's
And stay
technically a
safe.
minority. So I'll give him a 5 for that, but that's all I'm gonna give him.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a 5 for me as well. What I really, really like about Sammy's gameplay is, like you said, the positioning. Like, I think he's really good at keeping himself safe, and I feel like he's always on the cusp of making that big move, making that huge strike, and it's like he always loses it. And like you said, like I was so confused when he's literally at tribal asking Carl, like, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? The
Mhm.
last confessional we saw from you is saying, I'm gonna convince her, and now this, like, literally,
He was
James
begging for an
staying
answer.
would have been terrible for him. Like, I think
Mhm.
the thing is,
I
I
don't
think it
think it would have
depends.
been
I
that bad.
think James going is bad for him. But I think staying it's not the best because Carlo is more loyal to James. And he's
Mhm.
not necessarily in that foursome of James, Carla, Cody, Jesse. You know what I mean? So, but that's the position Sammy has put himself into, to where he's been, everyone's kind of like, oh, I can vote with you. I'm your friend. This flip flop person, to where it's like now, he can really be sucked either way, So it's like,
Mhm.
I don't know. I really don't know where Sammy's gonna go, because I feel like that's just gonna be a dead end to his game. Like, that's gonna just, at some point, it's gonna just stop. Like, he's gonna get exposed, or he's gonna go all the way to final three, and no one's gonna really respect him that much, because
Mhm.
what do they see he's doing? So I don't
Mhm.
know. I think it's a 5. I feel like he still has a chance to win this game. I'm not gonna lie, but it's just similar to Owen. I think I have to see him doing something. Everything we see from Sammy is him talking the big shit in the goddamn confessional, and then when it's time to get to that tribal, we see him asking his mother, Carla, who the votes. So I don't know.
Not him at the bottom. Okay, so I put them in order, child. We have a tie for first between Jesse and Carla. It's funny because it went Carla first, James first, then Jesse, and now Carla and Jesse are tied, babe. So they are still competing. James was robbed. So Jesse and Carla are tied for the 7.25. Kind of low compared to what we've been giving the girls, the 8s and shit.
It was bad episode.
After that, we have another tie, a 3-way tie. Cody, Gabler, and Sammy all have 5s. And honestly, seeing them as the people after the big 2 shows that the caliber of gameplay is not there. Yeah. Because why is it Sammy, Gabler, and Cody fighting for 3rd? Like, please. After that, we have Noelle with a 4.75, Cassidy with a 4, and Owen at the bottom with a 3.75. Thanks to me, I look up. And you know what's unfortunate? Week 9 is going to be very unfortunate if Owen wins this game because honestly, I don't think it's inaccurate that Owen is probably in the worst position or was in one of the worst positions and probably not the best player.
Well, he has been. But like I said, that's his story. That's his arc. It's very similar to Michelle. It's very similar to Michelle. No shade. I think, however, I do think Michelle is a little bit better socially. People actually like Michelle.
A little bit better?
Work with her.
Very better.
It's like that's his story. He's gonna get there and say he's gonna tell his story, his background. He's gonna say how he was never accepted as a child. And he felt that way here, and how he fought to get here. You guys didn't include me in anything. James told me the wrong vote. He's the Godfather, and I took him out. I see it now. It's gonna be a beautiful story on paper,
but in reality, I would love if Owen won. I wouldn't mind Owen winning just because of the fact that he's an Asian man, honestly. Because genuinely representation is enough for me. And him winning is enough for me. Him making it to the end, him still being in the game, honestly, is great for representation. So for representation alone, I stand. Other than that, please do something quick.
And the thing is, I honestly, I will say this. I don't think it's impossible that he does do something. I don't think it's impossible. But I do feel like it'll be... Well, but
at this point, what could you even do? At this point, what
something quick last minute? Make? You saw Marianne last season, something boom boom real quick.
Marianne's a good player.
She is a mother, but also no one has made too many flashy moves. It could take that one person to make that one move, and boom, they finally do, they win it.
That's true.
It could be over.
Hopefully. God damn.
And I've seen seasons like that. Like the gameplay is so stale that it takes one little thing, boom, you're on 3, and that's it.
You win the whole game. Wow. So that was that, y'all. The season is interesting.
Yeah,
not my favorite.
James going home, really, honestly, for me, it's like, yeah, I'm over it, man.
I was already coming down on the season. The main thing that I was excited about was the James, Carla, Jesse potential blow up. But that's kind of went away because James went home.
It ruined it. This is so. If James, James too, he deserved a way better exit than this. He deserved a way better elimination. Because this was such a terrible lead up to him going home, and it was going to a stupid ass twist. So it's like,
literally, child. So join us next week. We will be covering the next episode of Survivor Live. We also are going to be covering Amazing Race and the Challenge for the rest of those seasons, so check those out. We just did an interview with Luis and Michelle from The Amazing Race. Make sure you check that out. If you haven't seen our Aubrey and David interview, check that out. They are wonderful, wonderful people. We were gagging down, so check those shit out. Make sure y'all comment, like, share, subscribe to your friends and shit. And girl, we are out. What?